Everything's recording?
Yeah.
Superb. Okay, in that case then, shall I get on with the introductions? No?
Oui.
Okay. Alright, hello one and all, my name's John Clare, this is...
Roman Presh.
And this is the Post Watch Post Mortem. And we are just after watching Satoshi Kon's 2006 really strange anime, Paprika.
Paprika, yeah. Animation movie, yeah.
Yeah, and it's... I like it.
You like it, okay.
I like it.
Because
Go on.
I feel that, okay, I'm used to watch movie like that. As I grew up, I'm more into like anime like that.
Yeah.
And it's a strange watch, but
It is very strange.
And also, it's if it tried to be very complex. That's the problem I always told you with Japanese animation. Sometimes they try to overly explain stuff.
There is definitely an element of that. I'll agree with you.
A little bit, yeah, at the beginning. Yeah. And also, it's disconcerting because you don't know. You think the movie like take you by surprise all the time. It's like it's like, for example, the first scene that you watch. You're like. We're gonna spoil heavily the movie, so if you haven't watched the movie, watch it now. That's the last.
Basically, you know what we're gonna do, right? Okay. Generally speaking, we don't do spoiler warnings,
yeah.
Right?
Oh, but like,
and
I like to do it. I like to do it.
No. What I would say is this, right? Rather than issuing a spoiler warning or whatever else, right? Honestly, if you've clicked onto this or clicked onto any of our videos, not having seen the movie in the title, rather, I mean, luckily, honestly, like touch wood. Like, no one's complained because we haven't had that many comments because we're still fairly new. No one's said to us, spoiler warning or anything like that, right?
But like, as I say to like, some people watch a review of things. There's some spoiler-less review, for example.
Yeah,
we're not doing this.
No, we're not doing that. No. But I also think that if you're going to come into a podcast that's over an hour long, that's going to talk at length about a movie, then really what we should do is hit the pause button or get off YouTube altogether, go on Netflix, because it is on Netflix, and go and watch it. Right?
It's a strange watch. Can we just give a quick review of the movie?
Yeah,
do you like it? Do you like it?
Well, did I like it? Yes, I did. I thought it was... I mean, there's a lot of things that straight away attracted me to it. I mean, I love the animation. I love the visuals. They are fucking beautiful. There's so much imagination on screen. It's not an easy watch in terms of narrative.
No.
If you're looking for a clean and easy narrative, then don't watch this movie.
The beginning is a mess. I think it's getting
by design though.
It's a mess, yeah.
Yeah,
because you don't know if it's a dream or not. For example, like as I say, as a mess part is when you're in the office and the guy is like talking. The old man is talking perfectly. At some point, he just starts to saying nonsense.
Yeah.
And like it's like what like, and also because you're reading at the same time you're speaking very fast, it kind of have like his fever speech going on, like he become a madman and then start jumping into the window, like no, because it happens because he got caught. He got caught into the
dream disease or whatever it was.
So did you understand what was the?
Well, essentially, from what I understood, right? Okay,
did you understand the plot?
I think I did. Yeah, basically what it was is these dudes in this company, they created this thing called the DC Mini.
They were like
psychological therapists.
Yeah,
and they were using dreams to treat people, but apparently in some way that's never explained, the dreams start merging, and then it starts becoming a bit more chaotic, and then there's talk of terrorists, which doesn't pan out to be the case, and then by the end you find out the guy initially, like this is chairman character who's in a wheelchair at the start of the film, who's trying to, like, you assume is trying to like warn off this DC Mini. He thinks it's too dangerous.
Yeah.
And then by the end, plot twist. He ends up becoming the ultimate baddie.
It's the one who stole the DC Mini. Yeah.
So he's the one who did. So, I mean, like, and then you got Paprika, who's this kind of alter ego for one of the characters.
Yeah. Is it like I think she's using Paprika to help patients.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Like she was using this alter ego to help patients. That's what we see in the beginning. We see this Paprika moving around, dreams, people. I think that was her, like for example, helping somebody. That was like everybody has an alter ego when they are in the dream world. Like to be fair.
Yeah, in my dreams, I don't know. I mean, like
no, I mean in the movie.
In the movie.
In the movie, there's an alter ego. Like there's the robot guy for the
yes, and the kind of weird Japanese dolls and all that kind of thing.
The guy is Japanese doll. The chairman. I don't know what is his alter ego in the movie. But
chairman
like,
is like tree
he's a
branches.
king. I think, no, the chairman. That chairman is like tree plants. He was very into that. And the other one is butterflies.
Yeah,
because he collects butterflies and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know what's the old professor like thing. I think it was a king. It was king or.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, to be honest, like he doesn't go back into the dream world after he's
and
like.
And we discover later that the alter ego of the detective is the director. Is the director? That's why he has his glasses and his hat, and he's talking about like the
is it the actual director himself, Satoshi Kon, or just
no? But like maybe this is a part of him inside of a character.
There's a little bit of the meta narrative there, maybe.
Because when he basically reconciled himself about when he talked about his past, finally, we just saw him back with Paprika, and he tried to explain to her. Do like the rule of third? Do like not rule of third, but like the if somebody is talking left and right, the camera have to stay
in the same line.
In the same line.
Yeah,
and do like it was just explaining that what he was talking to Paprika, and he has this character with like a thing, and then when he realized he go back to himself and like to the detective. I think I think it was pretty. I think my theory is in this movie that like since the movie start, they are in a dream.
Yeah.
Since the movie starts, they are in the dream.
Yeah. And I think, to be honest with you, I mean, like, I don't think... I mean, you could argue that at no point in this movie... I mean, the real world is hinted at and is interacted with.
I think at the end...
until, like, the very last scene, maybe, you're never in the real world until at that point.
You're never in the real world. And I think at the end, that's the climax of the story is that the dream is bleeding into the real world.
Yeah,
and it's like the two are like being merging into each other and become like this madness kind of a thing. Because at the end of the movie, you see the skyline being destroyed and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so something happened.
Yeah,
but like it's a very strange movie. Like
it's strange, but it's wonderfully strange.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it in quite a lot actually. Because like, look, to kind of a bit of candor here. Like last week we attempted to watch this, but for whatever, I think it was just because I was
mental
tiredness, bit of physical tiredness. I just couldn't maintain focus on the movie. I'm kind of glad because what we did was we stopped.
It's a demanding movie. Yeah,
it is a very that's the thing. It is a very demanding movie. So like, I basically we kind of called it a halt to it and said, look, what we'll do is we'll come back to it when both fresh and give it the actual attention this film deserves. And I think it does deserve that attention because, again, while it is very demanding, I mean, especially like the fact that we're watching it in
it would have been great
sub as well.
Yeah, it would have been great to have it in dub, so it'd be less demanding on the brain matter. But at
the same time, though, even if we did have it in dub, even if it was dubbed, because there was no English dub on Netflix for some reason.
So no, there's not.
But the thing is, even if it was dubbed, I still maintain it would have been a very demanding movie because, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's incredibly imaginative. It's so beautiful. I mean, like, the art is absolutely to die for. I mean, like, this is like Japanese animation at its fucking top tier, mate.
Yeah,
it's
90s,
2006.
2006, yeah. They were using 3D a little bit. There was a little bit of 3D.
A little bit, but not too much. Only when it was absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Like, if there was a shot, like, for instance, there's this one shot where, like, the camera moves into the closet and then the little kind of downstairs, the little ladder to the under.
What I see is inside of when basically he's playing a video game. But like when he's going to the bar, which is a website. And to see the point of view going into the thing, it's all in 3D. The bar
That's
is all
right,
in 3D.
yeah.
When there is like a moving thing or stuff like that, they use 3D.
Yeah, when it's necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, even going back to 2006, it would have been relatively primitive. But I think it does just enough to kind of justify itself. But the actual hand-drawn animation, oh my fucking word, it's gorgeous. The characters are beautifully animated, very expressive. I mean, like, this is where I think, Japanese animation, like, when it's good, it's really fucking good. Akira, which we previously, it's absolutely phenomenal.
I thought there's good European animation as well. Like.
Oh, absolutely, of course there is. I'm not exemplifying one over the other. Or do you know what I mean? I'm not saying like one is better than the other. I think they are different in their styles and execution. But I just think, sometimes Japanese animation isn't very good. But the thing is, you could play that all over the world. But when it's great, it's amazing. And yeah, Paprika is definitely an exponent of that, I think. It's sort, like I said, like the story, the whole thing about dreams and everything else I find quite interesting as well, because relatively recently, like I used to be one of those, because I have like sleep apnea and stuff like that. So like it's very hard for me to kind of like remember my dreams, because the thing, in order to remember your dreams, you have to get to a specific state of sleep. And the problem with sleep apnea is if you don't, because you kind of wake up and go back to sleep again without actually fully being awake.
No, you're just like half awake. Like you're like you no, you're not half awake. You just like
no. You go to sleep, and but the problem is like you kind of like you'll wake up for like a couple of seconds, but not long enough to actually kind of become conscious. So and then you'll fall back asleep again. So what that does is it makes it very hard to get into REM sleep. But I've noticed over the last couple of years or so that I've actually, every now and again, I'll have some dreams. And sometimes I'll have some really fucking terrifying ones. To the point where, like, I think the last dream I had kind of this kind of Inception style thing where I kept waking up in dreams. So I can't, don't ask me the details. I just remember the sensation of waking up, realise I'm dreaming still, then trying to get out of that dream until to the point where I actually woke up in the middle of the night. That happened last week. So like, and I've had some strange dreams in the past, and I'm sure you have as well.
Oh, of course.
Do you know what I mean? And I think, I love the fact that, when we visualize, like, okay, another great example, which, spoiler alert, we're doing this next, Inception. I love it when they used kind of like our dreams and the dream world, so to speak, as it allows creativity. Just it allows people to go. It allows like creators to, especially in cinema or animation, to go absolutely fucking bananas. And tell fucking really interesting stories. Like, don't get me wrong. In terms of the technology involved in the DC Mini, I mean, hand wavy.
DC stand for because they didn't have the right of. I think DC is Dreamcaster. Like the Dreamcast.
Oh, like the Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah, the Sega. So the Dreamcast Mini, the guy created like because he had a Dreamcast. The Dreamcast.
Oh, okay.
I think that's why DC stand for DC Dreamcast.
Maybe.
And
Maybe
maybe they didn't have the right. Maybe they didn't have the right of
the Dreamcast Mini.
The Dreamcast Mini.
And they even mentioned like playing video games at one point.
It's like maybe
There might be some reference to that gloriously failed console.
Oh, I had it. It's great.
You had a Dreamcast?
I had a Dreamcast.
Jimmy, fuck up.
They break extremely easily.
Do they?
They did, yeah. For example, the only way I could play with my Dreamcast, if particularly there was like something wrong with the DVD the CD player, if you close it, it will not turn the CD, and if you open, like it won't turn the CD. So you have to live between the close and not close zone, so the CD can run. Like there's like everybody. Like
mate.
if you ever own a Dreamcast, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They break down very easily.
Okay.
But it was a great machine at the time. It was a great machine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of like it was the only console you could get Street Fighter 3 on, because like the PlayStation and the PlayStation and the N64 just couldn't do it.
It was a weird console, like there's more like in Sony you used to have like what do you call
memory
like
cards.
Memory cards.
Yeah.
The memory cards was in middle of the controller.
Oh yeah, because it had that little Tamagotchi thing game.
Yeah, basically you can put your memory card in the middle of it, and the memory card would like.
And not only that, on some games as well, you could go to arcades. So if you're playing Virtua Fighter 2 or 3 or whatever it was, you could actually take the fucking card out, right? Go to the arcade, plug it in, and pick up where So yeah, so if your favorite character, like in Virtua Fighter 3, my favorite character was Sarah Bryant, and I used to fucking tear the shit up with that girl. But if you were playing it on the Dreamcast and say you were in the arcade ladder or something like that, and you were about halfway through, you could actually like come along with your Dreamcast memory card and plug it in and then pick up where you left off or something. But I mean, which is interesting. But yeah, the Sega Dreamcast. I've never played on it. We think about it. Like I've had fucking. I mean, if I go back, because I'm old, so if my in terms of my own consoles, never mind my brothers, I had a Sega Mega Drive. I had, or Genesis for you Americans. I had a PlayStation 1, Xbox OG, then PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. Yeah, and then we also had like Game Boys and fucking other consoles as well. Sega Master System, I do believe, as well. We had, I've been playing video games on and off, pretty much my entire life. But I never played Dreamcast, unfortunately.
Not Dreamcast. I had the Dreamcast. Like we had there's a tennis game that was very popular. That was only on Dreamcast. I know what it was.
Which one was that?
A tennis game. It was the most.
Tennis game.
It was the most sophisticated tennis game of all time. I also have a Crazy Taxi.
Oh, I played that in the arcades. Loved that game.
Crazy Taxi.
Mad.
I had also Sonic Adventure. I think is one of the greatest Sonic game ever. I know, it's the first 3D game, and then after it went all downhill from here.
Yeah.
And
it must suck being a Sonic fanboy.
It does suck a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know.
But like you just stay with the OGs, like, because if you're a Mario fanboy, every year you just fucking have the perfect Mario game, like old school or new school. Like,
because well, I think, to be honest with you, Nintendo always had, in terms of like actually producing quality games, like Nintendo have it right. They will only release a game when it's fucking ready.
Also, something that Nintendo do better than Sega. Sega always tried to change Sonic to the times. It's like kids like rock music and stuff like that. So they like a dark thing, emo thing. So we put an emo Sonic, or they're more like they like werewolf and stuff like that. They put Sonic into a werewolf and stuff like that. And they always went with what's popular right now.
Yeah,
but which is not going to be popular at the time. And what's Mario do is stick with Mario.
Mario
just
Mario.
Stick with Mario. Mario never changed. Mario can change. Like, he can do kart, he can do things, but at the core, Mario stay Mario.
Yeah,
stay Mario. Yeah.
I know they've introduced other characters over the years.
Of course,
you got Wario, you got fucking.
But they stay in the same.
Yeah.
They stay connected.
Yeah. Princess Peach is always Princess Peach. I'd love to see the new Mario movie. We should do that at some point.
When I say stay connected, it stays connected in the same universe.
Yeah, I know
it makes sense. It
makes sense. Generally speaking, like Mario, basically the character of Mario in Super Mario Brothers, the original Nintendo NES game, which I did play, because a friend of mine.
I did play as well the NES in friend's house.
Yeah, because what was it? We had this dude used to come. He was a kid I went to school with, a kid called Kieran Thomas. His brother used to babysit us whenever like my mum and my dad went out, and he came around with the Nintendo Entertainment System. Right, so he came out to our house, and this is what introduced us to video games. And I remember playing Super Mario World, Super Mario 3, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and being absolutely fucking blown away. Then going to the arcades and spending like all my lunch money playing Street Fighter 2 and King of Fighters 94 and all those games, which drove my parents fucking mad.
I was never into the arcade. Like, I'm born into the beginning of the home console. Like,
well, yeah, you're 28, I'm 42. There's 14 years between us. About 13 and 14 years. So
I'm 29.
You're 29. About 12 and a half years then. Right. So, so there's over a decade between us. So, like, obviously, like, I grew up in the arcades. So, like, we used to have Sega World as well. And I used to go, again, like I mentioned earlier on, I used to fucking kick the shit out of everyone in Virtua Fighter 3.
You say that, yeah.
Yeah, I did. I played as Sarah Bryan. Anyone came anywhere. One particular time, right? I remember we were sitting, like, because they used to have the great thing about Sega World when it first came out in the Trocadero in London, right? You paid 50 quid to get in, and you had a complete run of the arcade. You could play whatever the fuck you wanted.
Unlimited as well.
Unlimited, yeah. So like, there was no. They changed it eventually, and eventually it closed down, but which sucks. But yeah, you
didn't have that arcade thing. You have to put money every time you.
You just paid. You paid at the door. It was basically like a theme park for arcade games,
which is great.
Yeah, it was awesome. So like and so anyway, I used to go in there play. Obviously we used to play Street Fighter. Didn't really play Street Fighter 3. Didn't really play Darkstalkers or anything like that. Played a bit of Street Fighter 2 and a bit of Street Fighter Alpha.
Metal Slug.
Played a bit of Metal Slug. Yeah, all the SNK games. Yeah, played Metal Slug, King of Fighters 94. 95, 96, 97, whatever.
I would love to see a Metal Slug movie. Like,
Do you reckon?
How crazy would it be? Oh, Slug!
I don't know. I'd say it'd have to be an animated movie.
Like an anime movie, yeah.
Yeah,
like
I think it'd be kind of cool. But
with aliens and Nazis and
yeah, it was a bit bonkers. Those games were. I mean, they were beautiful to look at.
It was all the action movie. I love the I love the like the character design and all the animation they have and stuff like that. Even the enemies, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the thing though. It's like because I used to remember back in the day, like you could, if you wanted to, you could buy a Neo Geo home arcade system. They cost about like £1,000 in 1990s money.
Totally,
do you know what I mean?
Much,
so like what now it'd be like £3,000 or £4,000 probably.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So that's why unless you're like fucking minted or you owned an arcade, you didn't own a Neo Geo, which kind of sucked. But now like everyone, you can play like King of Fighters. I think King of Fighters 15 is that now?
You can play on the emulation now for free. All those games. That's how I play all the Metal Slug. Do you know, like I played all of them through a computer, like emulator.
Really?
Yeah. Also Pokemon, the old school Pokemon and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was never big into. Pokemon.
It was my. It wasn't. Yeah.
Your generation, though. Yeah.
No, it was my generation. But I had a phase when I played a lot of game in emulator, like a lot of like arcade game, a lot of.
Really?
Yeah. I still have my Mega Drive in the closet there, but it's not working.
Oh, that sucks.
It's not working at all. I don't know how to make it work.
Oh, right. At some point, I'm going to definitely have to fucking get a replacement Mega Drive. I had about 3 or 4 growing up.
But going back to the movie...
yeah, sorry. Yeah. Bit of a tangent there. Reminiscing about video games. But,
like,
yeah, go on.
Do you know, like, it's funny that something I think about the movie is the entry... one character that's not supposed to be there, because it's not supposed to be involved in the plot, is the character of the detective. It shouldn't be involved into the plot of the stolen item, but is brought inside of the plot. Well, first of all, because he's a friend of the guys, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what's funny is I think the beginning scene, I think there was the Paprika alter ego that was helping him. Through his dreams, because he has problem of a dream, like
It introduces the concept of the DC Mini being a psychotherapeutic device.
She needed him. Do you know why?
Why?
Because he's a director, and the director can see like as another. They can see they see reality differently, because they know what's a movie. What's behind the movie. They see the shot, they see the thing. They're like they have like it's the only one who basically he will know if he's inside of a dream because it looked like a movie. Because a dream is a movie basically.
Yeah. They even say that. Yeah, that's right.
It's one of the one that can help because it's basically it's the one that can like look back basically.
Yeah.
For that she wanted to. I think from the beginning. She knew he would be helpful into the story.
Yeah.
And also, I think that the beginning and the middle is like I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know. It's a very strange movie.
It is strange. I mean, the thing is, like, it's one of. I mean, you could turn around and call it esoteric, because it is very fucking esoteric. I mean, this is pretty much the definition of esoteric, as far as I can see. It is very, in terms of its narrative structure. I mean, there is a narrative there, but it is very kind of. As we said before, it's very demanding.
Yeah.
And also, it does demand your attention.
There's a lot of visual that's they are before they actually been to places. For example, she have the visual of the park before she even been to the park. Or she even have, do you know when she's go down the closet and there's a staircase?
Yeah.
And she saw like graffiti on the wall. There was the exact same graffiti in the attraction park. Do you know, like with the girl, the robot, and the thing. So what I think is they're going into a loop. Basically, they are in a dream and they're going into a loop.
Yeah, you can say that.
They're going into a loop until they find.
Because they reused a lot of scenes quite a lot as well. Yeah. They, like for instance, the scene where like the detective is running through the corridor, and the dude like falling to the floor in slow motion. They utilize that quite a lot.
No, because
as well.
because that's the trauma of. Because do you know why it's a trauma of this man falling into the floor? Because he let him down. It dropped him. It dropped him with this movie thing, and he feel guilty.
There's guilt, yeah.
There's guilt because the guy died, and he never finished the project because he was not there to help him.
Yeah.
Before he died, that's why he was.
It felt like he killed him himself.
Yeah.
He says that. He feels like he killed himself.
Because he killed himself. He shot himself in the back.
Yeah.
Because he gave up on his dream and left his friend down.
Yeah.
And that's it was to overcome this guilt that he has.
Yeah.
That's why also everybody was attacking him because it was. Like he wasn't.
Yeah, it's always because that's the same because they all had his face.
Yeah,
so,
because he was attacking himself.
Yeah.
Because it's the one was against him was himself basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, there is.
And he was going through movies to movie. He was going through Tarzan. He was going through
it's class.
It's very class. Yeah, all those little the intro scene is really cool as well. And
the thing is, also the whole thing about because it the whole kind of the marching band. The thing that keeps reoccurring throughout the entirety of the movie.
The marching band is the countdown. It's a countdown.
Yeah.
It's a countdown before to the collapse of dreams and reality.
And it becomes bigger and bigger, longer and longer. And
because
it starts invading into the real world.
Bring people into.
That's right. And it's just like, I mean. The thing is, sometimes, you can understand why, because the animation is incredibly expensive, right? Mm-hmm. So
they reuse a scene,
yeah. I mean, for instance, I was watching something on TikTok, I think it was, where they showed how certain scenes from the Jungle Book were basically traced over from Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
So they used the what was the name of the fucking boy character in Winnie the Pooh again?
Winnie the Pooh. Sorry,
not the bear, the Christopher something.
The boy.
The boy character, yeah. But anyway, so they basically utilized that animation and they traced over the top of it for Mowgli Disney used to do it all the time.
This with Snow White and other princess movies, stuff like that.
Very true.
It's a way to just cut costs,
because animation is expensive. So
when you have a dancing scene, I think it was a dancing scene with Snow White and everything. It's just took Snow White a dancing scene.
It was in it was in Robin. I think it was Robin Hood. Was it?
Maybe probably.
Maid Marian, because it was Maid Marian. The fox Maid Marian. They traced over her into from Snow White. So you've seen the same thing I have, basically, yeah. But so anyway, I've seen that I saw that. And I thought that was quite interesting. But the thing is, what I like about what they do here is they utilize that as part of the narrative in terms of reutilizing the mark.
It loops back again.
Because it's part. The whole thing about it being part of the dream narrative and the dream invasion into the real world and that. So there's this ongoing march, this ongoing. Madness that's consuming people. At one point, people start spewing absolute fucking...
going into traffic and stuff like that.
Yeah, and just the characters, one of the characters, you mentioned earlier on, what was his name, the little doctor fella?
No, although you have the two other colleagues that at the middle of the movie, they were there, and then you see them later. They had a crazy car accident.
That's right. Yeah. So And your man runs out of the wood because at the start of the scene he's very coherent. I mean, you mentioned
he's very clear. He's very
coherent. And then all of a sudden he starts talking absolute gobbledygook and then runs out the fucking window,
which is a very strange scene.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the one thing I will say about this movie is that it uses it. I mean, it knows its concepts, and what it does is it's constantly surprising you.
Yeah.
And that's really fucking hard to do.
It's also it's like a dream. They kind of transport place to place or thing like that.
Jump all over the gaff.
Jump all over the gaff. I don't know. It's because it's a movie. You jump up the place to place in a movie.
I mean, look this way. I mean, if everything happened in real time. I mean, if Dunkirk happened in real time, the Christopher Nolan movie,
it'd be like a 10 hours movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, what were you saying? Sorry.
No, I was just saying that. In terms of I've lost my train of thought now. Fuck you.
But like, yeah, you're thinking about the. I think you were talking about the repetition of visual or.
Yeah. So the one thing I like about, I mean, again, because as I said before, animation is incredibly narrative. I mean, like we just looked up the budget. I couldn't really get anything on the box office because
2 million Japanese.
it's in Japanese yen, but basically divided by 100, you've got the dollar figure.
Yeah.
So it's 200 million Japanese yen. So it's probably about 30 million American dollars. In
It's a short film. It's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's a dense movie, though.
Yeah, it's very dense. I mean, it is an adult film. I mean, one thing that really fucking irritates me, right, is how why some people still see animation is just for children. It's just cartoons.
That's really
Japanese. I think you got to thank the Japanese in a lot of ways for kind of showing that this is a medium for mature storytelling as well. It's not just about fucking fairy tales, Disney princesses, and cuddly animals. You know, there are adult themes. This is an adult movie. This like deals with very adult themes. But
also, like in the movie, there's this kind of a rape scene, or it's not a rape scene. It's more like
it is kind of basically what happens. It's a very.
He's trying to get the person behind the alter ego.
Paprika,
behind Paprika,
yeah. So basically, the doctor Chiba, I think her name was, like she was the alter ego for Paprika, and what he does is like he traces his hand down her body and then just around her vaginal area.
Yeah.
She's fully clothed, so but he forces his hand through her body and then moves it up through her body,
to like rip off the
in order to kind of like reveal.
Also, she was a butterfly, which is the cocoon thing as well. Like
that's a nice. Good spot, man. Good spot.
As a butterfly as well.
Yes, so, good spot. Very good spot.
And
indeed.
Also, like, what was the thing with Paprika at the end as well? Like a name is Paprika, and you need a bit of spice. I don't know.
You need it. Oh, paprika's a spice, isn't it?
I know it's a spice, but like, what was the need of a spice? I don't understand.
I don't know. I think it was just basically I think there's a lot of metaphor within metaphors in this movie.
Or maybe Japanese metaphor that we got lost in translation.
Maybe.
Or do like a play on word or stuff like that. You know, like paprika could mean something completely different in Japanese than in English.
Maybe.
That could happen as well sometimes.
That is also very true. I mean, that's the thing. Is like sometimes, like for instance, I'll say something. I don't know my jokes. I mean, do most of my jokes land with you?
They hit. Yeah, they hit because I have knowledge of. But like sometimes, like some jokes don't hit with me when I don't have a knowledge of.
You don't have
a personality or do like.
But culturally is where I'm coming from, because like the distance between.
We're pretty close. European. We're pretty close. I'll get the joke. Like if you say something, I'll get the joke.
Okay, fair enough.
But sometimes it's just not funny.
Well, you don't find it funny because you've got no sense of humour.
Okay. But like,
that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
But like, I understand. Like the thing is, Japanese is so like far removed from English.
True.
Like for example, you have play on words, and like some play on words I understand because I understand the language. But if I tell you play on word on French and you have no knowledge in French, you won't get it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, for example, like, and
what we play words in French?
I don't know, like, some on top of my head, and in French, cotton candy.
Yeah.
It's barba papa, which is daddy's beard. So maybe you can do a play on word with daddy's beard and do like cotton candy.
Okay.
But like, if I translate it to English, you lose the papa beard, like daddy's beard.
Well, in terms of punnery, though, I do remember hearing it.
Yeah, pun, like also for that,
in terms of punnery, there was one that involves both English and French. Basically, there was the start of a murder mystery. I can't remember the name of the play. Someone told me about it. So
is it like
I'll tell you. No, it's not quid pro quo. Basically, it's the start of. I only heard about this like second or third hand. I couldn't tell you the play. I couldn't tell you who wrote it or anything like that. I just remember someone telling me about it. Someone said at the start of the play, like they say merde,
which is shit.
Yeah, which sounds like murder in English.
Ah, okay.
So there's that.
But if you don't have the knowledge of French, you think you say murder, or if you have knowledge of French, you say merde.
Exactly. Yeah.
You just need the two together to figure it out. So,
to also make the joke work. But yeah, I thought in terms of the movie, like I mean, like $30 million though, back in 2006. like, and Japanese animation. That, I mean, you can tell. Like, again, one thing I do love is, again, I've got no objection to big budgets. I know I go on about them all the fucking time, but I think it's pertinent, and the reason why I think it's pertinent is because sometimes I love it when a movie looks amazing, right? When, like, you can tell that everyone involved was firing, whereas everyone was like firing on all cylinders, and like the money's on the screen. And Paprika, I mean, I would love to have seen this in cinema, man. It is such an eye-wateringly beautiful movie. Like, although it's like narrative is a bit fucking confusing sometimes, and you really got, like I said, it's demanding. You need to pay attention to it. God damn, you do.
It's the thing that Japanese like. Japanese are extremely. It's very contrasty. Like Japanese, sometimes a movie can be extremely demanding, and can be like a pure dumbness, like, or pure like
or sometimes, like, it's like when the one thing that used to always make me roll my eyes about some Japanese media, and I know I've said this before, but like, for instance, like, have you seen Battle Royale?
I did see Battle Royale, yeah.
Yeah, Battle Royale. The first part of that movie, I fucking love it. It's just complete bedlam and pandemonium. You kids are misbehaving in class, and we're gonna fucking sort you out. And the way we're gonna sort you out is we'll put you in an island and have you murder each other. It's, in terms of its concept, it just makes no fucking sense, but it's incredibly entertaining. Right until the end, when they start running out of people murder, and the characters start talking to each other, and right at the very end, one of the characters starts waffling on about his girlfriend and her eyes and how they remind him of the ocean, and I'm like,
You're going too deep.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what the fuck are we doing, man? I mean, like, are we watching the same movie anymore? And
do you know that they made a second one as well?
Yeah, I do. I've never seen it.
Where they went full political and full, the kids come back and basically create like an army of kids and try to overcome the Japanese government with this army of kids, like a bit like kind of a weird kind of Peter Pan mixed with is it the Kingdom of the Flies?
Oh. Yeah, I think not King. Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies, yeah. A bit of Lord of the Flies, Peter Pan thing. They kill all the adults because the adults are bad and stuff like that. But like, it's a strange. Thing.
Yeah, and failing to realise that those children, they rise up and kill all the adults.
Which is strange because the guy who directed this movie, he died, and his son has to finish it. The guy who did the Battle Royale, like his son died and had to finish the
sequel.
Movie. Yeah, the sequel. Like, it was strange. It's a bit of
a mess.
Of a mess. Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen the sequel. I've only ever seen the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like,
I think that's what happened. I'm not sure. I took that from my memory, and sometimes memory can be
a bit deceptive.
Deceptive, yeah.
All right, so we won't take it as read, but it's like earlier on when I was talking about that fucking play. It's like second or third hand I heard it, so take it, make of it what you will. But in terms of Japanese media, sometimes it's a little bit too fucking kooky and a bit too weird for me. But sometimes, like, when I really resonate with it, I mean, Paprika is fantastic. Akira, I fucking adore. So, when it works for me, it really fucking works. But when it doesn't, it doesn't.
I do have a love from the early 2000s, late 90s anime.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like, it's a show that everybody loves. If you watch anime, if you like anime, there's one show that you love is Cowboy Bebop. I
need to see this. I really do.
It's very Western. It's extremely Western. So it's like, I think people like, it's basically it's like film noir, cowboy, in space, which I love. It's just like just like they change. It's like they're going from Mars to Neptune and stuff like that to do like to bounty hunting and with jazz music and like
right. But another one I hear about quite a lot. I mean, Cowboy Bebop's definitely one of them. But another
Evangelion.
Yeah, that's another one I hear.
Evangelion. It's like basically it's a twist on the Evangelion is a twist. It's a very psychological movie. And it's a twist on the, the trope of the, what's the name of the kids? What's the name? Not Astro Boy, but like the kids that is like Gundam. It's a parody of Gundam. Oh, it's the complete opposite. It's the kids that have the choice. No choice. You have to go into the robot, and it's going to be the one that saves everybody.
Right.
And Evangelion is the kid that his father forced him to go inside the robot. Otherwise, he will send another girl that's completely to die. So he basically go against his will because the kid doesn't want to be part of anything.
Yeah.
So he's forced into. And at the end, he's just going on a fucking mental breakdown. And the end of the world happened anyway. Yeah, it's just
Very dark.
Extremely dark, yeah. And he go with this Evangelion go with this Christianity thing. There's a lot of Christ, a lot of angels and stuff like that, because for Japanese Christianity is extremely exotic, yeah, because they don't have that there.
Let's be honest, right? In terms of like the whole kind of like, and also, it's not even Christianity. Like, let's be honest, like as a Catholic myself, right? In terms of all the drip, in terms of all of like the really kind of like cool shit, like if you go to a Catholic, I mean, I'm not really religious, but let's be frank. You go anywhere in Italy, France, even some Catholic parts of the UK or wherever else, some of the Catholic churches here in Ireland, like they're fucking gorgeous. They're beautiful bits of architecture.
But like the series, there's also a movie that just compact all the series.
Whereas the Protestants don't so much.
But there's no like it is not very. It is not like visually like Christianity and stuff like that. It was not much inspired by that, but all the names, all the plots that's happened and stuff like that. There's a lot of biblical imagery, but without being
subtext,
but without being completely biblical. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I get your point, but the thing is, what the point I was making was not so much in terms of like, I can understand why. Like, if you look at like, say, Catholic cathedrals, Catholic churches, like you go to you see like the art, you know, the architecture and everything else. Like, there is, you know, it also, you know, probably one of the reasons why the Catholic Church is like absolutely rolling in money, because of, you know, corruption and all that kind of shit. But pardon me, fucking hell. It's almost like we're trying to one up each other there.
Also, like, something I was just want to finish with. Oh, sorry, what are you saying? I'm
okay.
going to cut you off.
Okay,
finish what you're saying.
Okay, basically what I'm saying is I can understand why, like, Japanese culture finds, like, especially with Catholic Christianity and maybe also Orthodox Christianity as well, like there's a lot of like visual kind of fucking hell, man.
Like, or like the history or the thing.
No, it's just, no, take away the history. Like between the stories in the Bible and stuff like I don't know, like Dante's Inferno or Paradise Lost or anything like that. Like all those interesting, like not just the Bible, but some of the other kind of texts, non-biblical texts that you can include in there. The stories, also the hymns and everything else. The iconography. A lot, you know, with angels and cherubs and devils and everything else. You know, a lot of it is very kind of visually very powerful, and I can understand why a culture that is not Western would look at that and think, "Fuck me, that's really cool."
That's really cool. Wings and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, winged angels and all that kind of stuff. And then you could really go fucking mad and look at some of the actual original, like, you know, depictions of angels. You know, like seraphs and shit like that. You know, or like, you know, wheels within wheels, all with eyes.
Something very funny with Evangelion is the monster are like kind of a monster like ish, you know, like at the beginning, because every episode they fight a monster. It's like the monster of the week, you know, like it's like it's like a Power Rangers or, you know, like all those kind of things.
Yeah.
And as you go deeper in the thing, the what they call angel become even more like you know, like no face, no body, nothing recognizable, like almost like the biblical accurate they're just circles, and they just become geometrical shape and eyes or stuff like that, just like as they go, like, you know, like have you ever seen the picture of a biblically accurate angel?
Yeah, I was talking about it.
You're just talking about it. I know, sorry about that. I don't know what's the name of it.
Yeah,
but also
anyway, so anyway, what I'm saying is I can understand why that would be visually very appealing and something that you could draw inspiration from to make new art, you know, and give it your own voice and whatever else. You know, I can understand why that'd be interesting, but at the same time, like, Japanese culture itself has a lot of like really interesting things visually to draw from. Like what you see in Paprika quite a lot is that
it's the American culture, like
well, no, there's American culture, but there's also their own culture, like the dolls and shit like that.
So
You know, like, and during the parade, like you see the dolls and the pagodas marching and all that
there was
kind of
also a
shit.
European doll in the thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's like this kind of weird mishmash between the two.
Yeah, because the Japanese and European dolls, they're basically kind of actually it's the same idea but different continent, like basically.
Yeah, different executions.
Yeah, and also like can I say something? Like, just we're going to see Inception
Next week
in the next episode, but I don't actually. Do you know what people were saying that? Christopher Nolan got inspired by like took some idea from the movie. I don't really think so now.
Maybe the concept.
Maybe not even the concept. I think he got the concept because I don't know how he got the concept for. Maybe he saw Paprika when he was.
I'd say it was like one of many influences.
Many influences, but like
Do you know what I mean?
visually, it did influence a bit because Inception has a very like it has his own story thing going on. It has his own idea of the dream world is.
Yeah.
The dream within the dream within the dream
Yep.
within the dream. This idea as well. But like the visual is very Inception has very his own visual. Like
Absolutely.
and Paprika has his own as well. Inception is more to the action more than the craziness. Like it's action but crazy. Like it's but like this one go madness. Like go fever dream. Like
I'll say you're right there actually.
like Inception goes like into like an action movie kind of a dream like thing.
Yeah, I think. Look, maybe there was some sort of influence there. What influence? We'd have to speak to Christopher Nolan to find that out, or maybe listen to an interview where he might.
Maybe there is no at all influence. Maybe he never saw that movie.
Maybe, but to be quite honest with you, I mean, because the idea for us to do this, because we were going to do this back to back anyway, so Inception is going to be the next one, just so you know, and I thought, I mean, it's kind of interesting, but I think in of itself, it's quite interesting to watch the two films like back to back and do different podcasts on back to back because, like, it kind of, although they deal with like very similar kind of concepts in terms of dreams and dream machines and how the dream world influences the waking world. I mean, those sort of like loose concepts are applicable between both films, but the difference is in their execution. Part of that is down to the media, i.e. one's in animation, one's in live action, but also some of it's cultural, some of it's what you put.
Some of it's cultural, but like. So you say things you're saying, but I want you to research something else. Or like, come on.
Okay, no, that's just basically the point. It's just So, what do you want me to research?
I wanted to research when was Spotless of the Mind movie.
I
think this one was influenced by Paprika. A lot.
Yeah, you might be right.
A girl, there's a girl, and he's chasing the girl in his dreams, basically. Like,
2004. That came out 2 years before.
This movie came out 2 years before?
No, this came out in 2006. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind came out in 2004.
Oh, so maybe Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind influenced Paprika.
Entirely possible.
Yeah.
But also, you got to bear in mind, animation takes a long time to do. And with the budget of... Sorry, wait a minute. I said this earlier on. It's not 10 times, it's 100 times. So this would have been roughly $3 million, not $30 million.
Okay.
But even then, it's still... Well, it doesn't matter how many millions of dollars. It still looks fucking fantastic. It's a beautiful film. But yeah, I mean, but thing is, like, I think dreams are interesting things to fuck around with, and it's like, for instance, in you don't see so much in the TV series, right? But in the books for Game of Thrones, like, you hear a lot about Brandon's dreams, and like dreams are very much kind of like part of the subtext within the books.
Yeah.
So like, it's also like I've just finished this listening to Dune. Sorry, I keep saying it on Twitch, and everyone keeps thinking I'm saying June rather than Dune because of my London accent, and I just say June. But anyway, so D's and J's pretty much are interchangeable. But in June, the whole thing about Paul Atreides and having these prolific dreams.
They're not prolific.
Prophetic dreams.
They're not like, it's funny because if you've seen Dune, the first one, they see dreams, but they see possibilities.
Yeah, it's the same in the book as well. I mean, he sees these different futures panning out, and he's trying to avoid war, which doesn't end up happening. The jihad does take place, but it's just like, I find that really interesting because dreams are always part of our mythos, part of our storytelling, because they are stories in of themselves. I mean, You know, when you wake up from a dream that you remember,
you try to interpret them,
and it never makes any fucking sense. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Because there's like weird collections, and not only that, one dream can lead into another. When you wake up, it makes this very confusing narrative, you know, that you only really half remember, you know. But because of the fact is, like, these happen when we're asleep. Mm-hmm. So when we're asleep, when our conscious mind is deactivated, our subconscious mind becomes like takes front and center, and therefore is able to wield these weave these unbelievable tapestries and these strange situations and everything else. And then you can see why when in the waking world our conscious mind will grab hold of that and use that as inspiration to create art. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that's really interesting. And when you see whether it's part of a subtext of a narrative or it's a front whether it's forefront in the narrative, like it is with Paprika, like it is with Eternal Sunshine, like it is with Inception. It's interesting to see how we as people, as human beings, are able to kind of like use that inspiration to create amazing art. And, you know, I'd definitely include Paprika in that. I mean, you know, in terms of ratings or whatever, I'd definitely fucking give it over a 9. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? This is a movie I really
think I'd give it like
enjoyed.
a 7 out of not a 9. And it's not harsh. It's not harsh. It's can I say like maybe you have to rewatch it again because the plot is very strange. I don't know. Like I found the plot like hard to go through. Like
yeah, so did I.
I feel like I didn't understand the movie.
No, don't get me wrong. I don't think I truly understand. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, I'm so much smarter than you.
No, I didn't understand the movie. I didn't understand the movie. I understood the idea of it.
Yeah.
And like the conclusion of it. You know, like the plot. I understood the plot.
Yeah.
But I didn't really understand like the goal of the like I need to rewatch it again. I think I missed a few things.
Maybe
because you try to watch. The problem with sub sometimes you try to watch the thing. It's very visual, and you try to read at the same time.
Well, this is why we disagreed on at the time, but I think I'm kind of validated. With
yeah,
this
you did
one.
validate by this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, you know, especially when it comes to animation, you just got to say, look, fuck it, man.
What was it so much less of a problem in All Quiet in the Western Front?
I think with the All Quiet on the Western Front, the reason why it wasn't so much of an issue is because although like European languages differ slightly,
we still have
in terms of our like the way our sentences are structured. I mean, like English and German obviously are both Germanic languages, and you speak both French and English, so so you can speak both. So I think that, you know, it's not so much. It doesn't kind of pull. And not only that, I mean, every now and again you might hear a word that you kind of half understand.
Understood, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You can understand the meaning of the phrase, and also the acting as well.
Yeah,
like by the impulsion, by the tonation of the voice and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, when it comes to like live action, I think generally speaking, even when we watch Parasite, which I'd love to do a podcast on.
John Fu? No. What? I was just going to say something really racist. I can't remember the name of the director of Parasite.
Oh, I can't remember it either. Don't worry, and I'm not going to look it up at the moment. One thing I loved about Parasite, I mean, Parasite is in a completely different language. Me and you watched that in sub, and I still fucking adore that film.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think. I think with live action, you know, it's preferable to watch it in sub. Because you have the actor's performance, and if you start dubbing over the top of that, you lose that performance.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how good the dub is, you always lose it. But when it comes to animation you can kind of get away with it a little bit. It's not as important because
but there is poor dub as well.
Oh yeah, it's poor dub. I mean, there is poor dub when you get like bad actors. You know, it's like you know, like basically shouting all the time. Or who are not able to give a very convincing emotional performance as the character. I mean, you're right there. Bad dubbing will detract from the movie a lot, you know. But I think if you get a good sub in, I mean, I think the dub for Akira was really good.
Yeah, the good of the guys, they were good. Yeah,
I thought it was excellent. So for me personally, I can and not only that, especially when it comes to animation, because animation relies on its visuals, and if you're pulling yourself away from the visuals in order to like read through the story, it does detract from it a little bit, and maybe that's probably where you're running into problems.
The thing that the Parasite did, there's a lot of visual, there's a lot of story by visual.
Yes,
there's a lot of moment where you see the people acting or do something instead of talking.
Yeah, or like using like really good like for instance like earlier on when you see the family situation, and they're like basically living like in a fucking
there's a lot of
and they were
environmental storytelling.
Environmental storytelling. Yeah. So like they were looking up at the window,
and the mansion is basically on top of a hill, so they keep going up to go to the mansion. Like very interesting. We should talk about like that movie in the future.
Oh, absolutely. We're definitely doing a fucking podcast on Parasite.
It's a Parasite, very 100%. Great movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, but the thing is like and I think maybe that kind of maybe the fact that we were watching it in sub detracted from it. It definitely did for me a little bit, but.
Do you think you would appreciate better Paprika if it was in dub?
I think it would make it a little bit fucking easier.
Yeah.
If it was dubbed.
Would the plot be more understandable?
Fuck no.
There you go.
Absolutely not. Look, this is one of those movies. Like I said, we're not joking when we say this. It's a fucking demanding film.
And as a plot, it's like maybe you should not think too much about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, look. If you come away from it and you're a little bit confused,
that's normal. That's normal.
That's fine, mate. I mean, it's not on you. The movie is pretty fucking.
It's a fever dream.
Yeah, it's a fever dream. It's completely batshit mental from beginning to end.
Cool visual.
But the visuals are beautiful, and to be honest with you, like the more I was watching it, the more I kind of got into it. And some of the characters, I mean, Paprika, the title character. I mean, although she's the alter ego for one of the other characters. Like I found her really engaging because like I loved how the fact that she was able to transform.
Yes.
She played
she's the opposite of this other character, Achiba.
Yeah, I mean she's very straight, like she's very stoic and very kind of
and she's not flirty. She's not playful and
affectionate. But whereas Paprika's this very outgoing character, she's very spontaneous,
flirty as well,
and also, but also the fact that she embodies Tinkerbell at one point, Pinocchio at one point.
Oh yeah, she does. Yeah.
What else was there?
She's very into like a visual, like maybe that's the
stories.
Do you know what the one is? She's in a cloud and a stick.
Yeah, that's
the
monkey
king.
something.
The
monkey king.
The monkey prince or monkey prince, I think.
Something like it's from Journey to the West. It's an old Chinese tale. Yeah, old Chinese parable. And there's been like many retellings of that in Japanese and Chinese
Dragon
media.
Ball, for example, was one of his retelling.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, the first Dragon Ball.
Interesting.
He's floating on the cloud in a stick that just glow of infinity, and he also have a monkey tail.
I've never watched this.
It's fine. It's okay. It basically it got very inspired by this tale.
Yeah. So like, it's from Journey to the West. It's like it's a very famous story. But yeah, I liked all that. I liked the fact that she was changing into these different characters, and a lot of it is about parable. A lot of it is about storytelling or whatever else. So like, I really enjoyed that aspect of her character, and I enjoyed the kind of like the visual storytelling. I enjoyed. Although the plot like I said, the plot is a bit fucking too much, but I didn't. In some movies, that would really fucking annoy me and pull me out of it. But and like the whole thing with the DC Mini and all this kind of silliness, like a lot of techno babble and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, like what it did do, I mean, I would like Paprika as a character. I got quite invested in. Do you know what I mean? I really like. She wasn't at that one moment in genuine peril. I mean, in this day and age, it might not be seen. Oh yeah, she was rescued by an older man or whatever. But the fact is that when she was in peril, you were like, fuck, someone help this girl out, please.
Yeah.
And thankfully, like the character who was somewhat disconnected, the police detective, was able to come in and help Paprika and rescue her. Well, Paprika's cocoon was already taken off at this point, and then you were left with Dr. Chiba. And then they thought they escaped and they were still in the dream world, and then they thought they escaped again and they were still in the dream world. It was like, and and the film doesn't. I've got to say, the film was always surprising me. It was always surprising me all the way through. So, and that's what really kind of helped my engagement with it. At no point was it ever boring. You know. So there is a lot going for it, but like I said, it is very dense in terms of its narrative. The story's not very easy to follow, and like I said, normally those are criticisms that I would fucking, you know, I'd throw a hammer at it for.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, in other things it does well. I wouldn't say it masks over it, but it kind of like. I think it knew it was the guys creating it. Like I said, what was the director's name again? Let me find out. And the director was Satoshi Kon. Writers were Yasutaka. You know what? Look it up yourselves. I can't read these names.
The Satoshi Kon.
Yes.
It's the director of the thing,
and he's one of the writers as well.
Yeah.
So the guys creating these characters, that they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
You know, this was very deliberate, and I think it was very deliberately dense. And the fact they did this in an hour and 30. They didn't overstay their welcome.
No.
They told their story and they fucked off. I appreciate that. But they did it while it was, like I said, while it was very dense. And sometimes, I mean, would I go as far as say impenetrable? It's not like a Christopher Nolan impenetrable. I wouldn't go that far. You know, like with Tenet, can be a little bit, what the fuck is going on here?
Like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, yeah.
And I think, to be honest with you, like, it didn't matter what they did. What in Tenet, didn't matter what they did to try to explain the situation. It was always confusing. I think with Paprika, they kind of leaned into it. They knew it was kind of a bit mad. They just used the DC Mini as a framing device for this whole kind of dream world merging into the real world thing. It
remind me a bit of at some point, you know, like one is like he has a DC Mini in the brain kind of thing.
Yeah.
It does remind me a bit of Existence.
Oh, a bit of Dave Cronenberg.
Existence, which I hate that movie. I hate from the core of my being this movie.
I've seen Existence.
It's disgusting.
The only movie I have seen of David Cronenberg that I can recall off the top of my head is Fly.
It's basically they're playing a game. There's a terrorist attack, and they are escaping in the game, but they're staying in the game. They try to wake up from the game, but like they go back to. It's just, and then at the end of the movie, they're like, "Are we still in the game?" They're like, it's just like like one of those movies like this. And now it's like. It does remind me a bit of Existence as well. Existence came out way later. I think 2000 and...
I think about 2011? No, it wasn't about 99, 2000. Existence. It's like... Oh, right, fine. Fuck it.
With Jude Law and... Jude Law? I think Jude Law, I can't remember. Existence, David Fincher.
No, it was Dave Cronenberg.
Cronenberg, even worse.
David Cronenberg.
That's the one. That's the one you have there. Existence of
Yeah, 1999. I was right.
1999. So it was before Paprika. Once again.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
So Paprika didn't start anything at all. No, it did. Maybe I don't know.
No, to be honest, look. I don't really want to kind of go down the rabbit hole of what inspired it or who inspired it or whatever the fuck. I don't think it's really important. You know, whether it did inspire Inception or not, I don't know. I don't really care.
I don't think so.
To be honest, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that important. What I think is important is I'd rather look at Paprika on its own as its own piece of art, and I think it really is a fantastic piece of art. I think it's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know. But Inception is also a good movie. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is also a good movie. You don't like Existence. I haven't really seen it. I don't really fucking care. At some point, we might watch it just for the crack. But in terms of this movie itself, I think it's a beautiful film. I think that, you know, I love the visuals. I love the character of Paprika. I love the dynamic between Paprika and Dr. Chiba as one being very stoic and very straight-laced and very contained, whereas Paprika is this kind of very imaginative, very spontaneous character. And like I said, when she was in peril, you honestly, you know, felt for her. You empathized with her. You wanted to get out of that situation, and thankfully she did. And the fact that Chiba and Paprika were in kind of communication with each other throughout the film.
They tried to help each other. Pretty much, she had a double personality.
Yeah, you could say that in a way. Yeah, maybe she was. Maybe she had bipolar or something like that.
Yeah, she had
or multiple personality disorder. But but I just found it incredibly interesting, and I think that I think it's wonderful when not just animation, but when filmmaking. Like, okay, we're going to take a fucking chance.
She almost sounded like a superhero, like like.
Well, yeah, in a lot of ways,
at some point,
was.
like when the doctor said, like, we need Paprika, and then she fall down in the sky, like, like to to save the world, like, we need Paprika. At some point, I thought that Paprika was kind of the god of sleep, a bit like I know he's a man.
Nyx.
No, that's not the one I was thinking of. I was thinking of Morpheus.
Morpheus is another one, yeah.
Morpheus.
Sandman.
The Sandman, yeah.
Neil Gaiman, one of my favorite writers.
She was basically the Sandman or Morpheus, like I thought she was.
Maybe,
I thought she was like.
Definitely analogous. I would say.
I thought in the beginning that they created the DC Mini, and this entity, that's Paprika, was coming back in everybody's dream. But basically, they didn't know. It's just like, oh yeah, we create that machine, and this person is coming back to every dream, every people's dreams. Like, what the fuck? You're like, it would have been like, she's the bridge between the real world and the dream world, basically.
Yeah, I mean, interesting that.
That was one of my theory at the beginning when we first watched, and then we cut, and then we bit back to it. That was my idea of what was the character of Paprika in the movie, because Paprika was extremely. Well, you see in Paprika sometimes she's driving, and then the car passing by, and then she morph into the Chiba. Yeah,
but
so is it told that they are the same person?
Do you know something? One thing I wanted to mention actually,
the intro.
The intro is fucking awesome.
Yeah, the text that just projects on it's just a projector. The titles that project. So basically, they are inside. They're like a projector.
Yeah, and also the actual like at one point where like she's skipping across the road and like all the traffic's going past her, and she's raised her hand, clicks her fingers, and everything's kind of stops. But everything stops in this kind of weird kind of halfway stage, and she just skips through.
Yeah,
like
she's moving normally, but everything is moving fast speed.
It's just like fuck, man. It's like. It's just this isn't 2D hand-drawn animation, and it just like do you know something I found really interesting? Like in the last 20 years, like because we've gone so much towards computer-generated animation, that hand-drawn animation seems to have, in the West at least, seems to have gone by the wayside for the most part. But in Japan, it's still very much core to to a lot of their visual storytelling, and I just think it's a crying shame that like hand-drawn animation, like when you've got like top-tier artists like creating this amazing visual tapestry, and the fact that it's been so readily discarded, I think is just a crying shame.
Also, the movie that came before that, Perfect Blue. I think I didn't watch the movie. I don't know much about it, but there is a lot of visual like this as well. There's a girl, and there's this reflection. Every time the reflection is looking at her, like stuff like that. It's also a movie with a girl with a dual personality. Perfect Blue. Can you just put Perfect Blue there, like just a second? I think that was his first movie.
Okay.
And Perfect Blue.
1997.
Yeah. Okay, that was his first movie, I think, in the big screen.
Okay, cool.
And also he did Tokyo Grandfather. I think it's a story of doing like a group of homeless people that find a baby and try to find their parents back. Like kind of a story like this. Like it's kind of a Christmas movie kind of a thing.
But Japanese.
Japanese, like all those people like looking into garbage, find the baby, and it's like, what are we going to do with the baby?
What happened if three wise men were both
basically
homeless?
It is a three wise men.
We're homeless and raised Jesus themselves.
And baby Jesus was throwing the garbage.
Yeah. Well, in fairness though, I mean, there's a lot of biblical stories like with fucking Moses like being like sent into a basket and sent down the river. Yeah. And ended up becoming like the Pharaoh of Egypt or whatever, which I find quite interesting. But I haven't seen either of these films, so at some point, like having seen this, I probably should like at some point go back and check it out. And funny enough, it's like we're looking at Google here now.
Can I see? Can you just put it there for a second so I can see?
Okay, so like it says Paprika. People also search for like Millennium Actress, Tokyo Godfather's Girl, who leapt through something or other, who leapt through time. Inception's in there. Ghost in the Shell. What else is in there? Ghost in the Shell 2.
Evangelion, that's one I talk about.
Evangelion. Akira.
Like the Ghost in the Shell 2. I found it a bit weird.
I haven't seen Ghost in the Shell 2. I've only seen the first one. But yeah, I just thought that was quite interesting to bring up. But okay, is there anything that you?
I don't think I have anything else to say really, but
No?
I recommend Paprika. It's a great visual. I understand why a lot of hipster like that movie. Yeah, it is the hipster favorite movie.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think that sometimes like hipsters get a fucking bad rap. Do you know what I mean? Because like I probably could. I've been accused of being a hipster once or twice in my life. But in terms of, I'll tell you one thing. Actually, looking at the Rotten Tomatoes, Tomato Meter audience score basically 86, 87, which I can kind of get behind. To be perfectly honest with you, it's good to see. It's nice to see when the critics and the audience are more or less in simpatico. I always find it really peculiar when like a film is really well received by critics and not by audiences.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. I always find it even more interesting when a film is like critically panned, but audiences love it.
Sometimes the cult following can come later as well.
I mean, it's like what would be a good example of the cult following coming later? Do you think?
Like a movie that was that become Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
It was like nobody was seeing it in cinema, and people starting seeing DVD and on TV. Give them a chance, like when they do like on cassette and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Another one that become a cult later on, the Room.
Yeah, you know what? I've never seen The Room. I'm not sure I want to.
No, I don't.
Do you?
No, I don't want to. No, I don't want to.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure.
I don't like make fun of movies. I don't like it's like everybody. We know it's bad, so why would I watch it?
Yeah, but it's like that whole fucking thing about so bad it's good. I mean, like me and you.
We call it nanar in French.
Nana.
It's nanar.
Nanar.
Nanar. That's the term. It's a movie that's so bad, it become good.
Yeah.
To become a nanar, it have to become like basically the guy is like making the movie said like it's gonna be the greatest movie of all time, and the audience is like, no, it's fucking shite, but I love it. That's a nanar. Like it's fucking shite, right. But I love it.
So basically, like the people behind it are very seriously saying, well, I think the movie that we made here is quite simply one of the most greatest artistic masterworks that the cinematic art
and the acting is like terrible, and
the script makes no sense.
It makes sense terrible, but you love it because it basically you cannot make a nanar by purpose. For example, like Sharknado, people say it's nanar. It's not a nanar because Sharknado is made goofy to be funny. And nanar is a movie that started seriously to be a movie and just missed completely. Basically, he went to go for the drama, very intellectual movie. He went to comedy by
sheer accident.
By sheer accident, he went to comedy.
By sheer fucking ineptitude.
Yeah.
I suppose so. I mean, like, I'm not really. I mean, the idea of watching the Room, I'm not too sure I really want to do myself. To be perfectly honest with you.
We don't want to do it.
I'm not sure I want to sit down on a podcast and like me and you be just looking at each other saying, "Why the fuck did we put ourselves through that?"
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to watch interesting movies, and I think so far we've done a pretty good job of that. Whether it's watching, I mean, the closest thing or we're watching movies we've got something to say about, something to talk about. I'm not really interested in watching movies that, I mean, like we do this thing together, like so. I mean, are you really interested in capturing the zeitgeist? No, I'm not.
What's capturing the zeitgeist? What's that?
The zeitgeist. I mean, like trying to, get in on the fucking, like for instance, say when
the hype.
Yeah, get on the hype.
Hype train. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I mean,
no.
I mean, like all you're doing is you fall into a conversation that's already taking place, and I think.
But I think Paprika is still a movie that talks today.
But it's like I think I think what this does is this gives us a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
To talk about movies that it's like, for instance, would I have suggested Paprika? Straight up, no, I wouldn't have done. But you did.
I suggested Paprika because it was a movie that I wanted to watch for a long time, but I never did the jump because I knew it was a demanding movie and I knew it was to be a bit like complex.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact that you suggested it and coming away from it, I think, you know...
and the more I give it 7 out of 10, because I was a bit disappointed because I heard so many things about it, and I saw it, and I kind of flattered the dream, like, a little bit.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, maybe it was a case of...
You came with
no expectations.
And I came with the most expectation, like Queenie saying, like, Queenie, you remember, a friend of us?
Daniel Quinn. Fuck you, Queenie.
That's the greatest movie of all time.
Oh, he does that, though.
Yeah, he does that, yeah.
I mean,
like, and then I watched it, like... And my brother keep talking about this movie, Paprika and stuff like that. And I know a lot about critics, French critics talk about that movie and say that it's a great movie and stuff like that. It is a great movie.
Yeah.
But because people talking about it, I was like...
it almost talks you out watching it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you know what I mean?
Tiny bit.
I can understand that. I mean, like, I think, to be honest with you, is like sometimes, like, I think also one thing that I'm not a big fan of at the moment, and again, I don't really want to name names because I'm not interested in fucking picking fights with anyone, but like when you see a lot of stuff on YouTube and people start talking about fucking, I don't want to even mention the terms because then it can be attributed to the creator, and then
No.
But I don't like when people start talking about agendas and stuff in cinema. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't go on. I'm not saying it isn't happening.
This movie had no agenda.
Yeah.
It was made in a time when movie had no agenda.
No, movies always have an agenda. Like movies always have like a story they want to tell, and sometimes but I think, to be honest with you, it's like when the agenda is at the forefront and it's obvious, then it pisses people off, I think.
Yeah.
But if it's just part of the subtext of the story, then focus on your fucking story first.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I can understand that criticism and I wholeheartedly get behind it. But it's just like sometimes, like, when people start calling out people for being SJWs and they do it all the fucking time to the point where it's just like, it's the term's lost all fucking meaning now. I just think that, when people start talking about like, I think it's quite interesting, like when it comes down to like the modern, like the term modern audiences. All audiences are modern audiences. Like when a film comes out, it's appealing to modern audiences, as in like the audience that is there at the time of its release.
Yeah.
Right. So how that term managed to get co-opted, I don't know. But the fact is, like, when people start talking about diversity, and then I remember hearing one particular person, a right-wing commentator, and I regard as a bit of a tit, talking about whether or not Ariel would be black scientifically. Like, I mean, like,
it's a fairy tale.
It's a fucking fairy tale with a woman with shells over her tits and a fucking fish's backside. Like, there's nothing scientifically accurate about it whatsoever. Stop being a fucking racist, dickhead.
It's just talking for the sake of talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. No, basically to strum up controversy, to get people shouting at each other on the fucking internet. It's stupid. Like, stop doing it. Mm-hmm. Like, to be honest with you, like, if you want to, if you, like, for instance, a good example would be while it hasn't, it's not one we've done a podcast on, but it's one we both watched, which was Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Didn't enjoy it. I thought Captain Marvel's character was a bit one-dimensional.
It was basically she was too perfect.
Yeah, exactly. There was no struggle. There was no heroic journey.
From the beginning, she didn't trust his friend. That's actually the enemy of the story.
Yeah.
She already knew that something wrong was going on, and then she was untouchable for the entirety of the movie.
Yeah.
She couldn't get hurt physically or emotionally.
No, and she won every fight.
And she won every fight. And she's indestructible. Nobody can touch her.
Yeah, I mean, like, if they told, like, for instance, like, when people talk around and say that there's been no strong female characters, like, I mean, one movie that we watched recently, again, we were talking about earlier on today, actually, was Edge of Tomorrow. Like, Emily Blunt's character in that, she's a fucking badass, mate.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, she's a believable character. Do you know what I mean? And, like, but as the story goes on, when she kind of loses her powers, but at the same time, she's brave, she's heroic, she's a leader.
Yeah.
These are all fucking commendable qualities, but she's still human.
Yeah.
And like the lead character is
the mother in Sarah Connor in
Terminator.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there are fucking strong female characters. There have been for decades. lads, just fucking look. Stop this nonsense. Stop this crusade. Look, I'm up for like strong, genuinely strong female characters who've got to go through shit, who find the inner strength, and who, through their determination and through their fucking guts and through their
of writing
intelligence.
Instead of writing female character, write good female character.
No, instead of writing strong female character, write a character.
A good character.
A good character. Like that audiences can empathise and root for, and actors and actresses will want to play. That's movie audiences, generally speaking, in the most part, because most people who watch movies couldn't give a flying fuck about Twitter debates, or X or shitter or whatever the fuck it's called now. I think shitter is pretty much apt, and that I think is important, but I'm not really behind this whole fucking but it's just like when I don't know. I mean, like I like going and watching what people think about movies. Like one of my favorite, because I'm going to mention him mainly because he's the first person to subscribe to on YouTube ever, and he doesn't kind of get involved in this. Jeremy Johns, love his film critiques. Like he does his great film, very kind of like the barely 5 to 10 minutes. He comes in, says what he feels about the movie, and gets gone. Do you know what I mean? And I've always respected him as a movie critic on YouTube. I just wish more people would kind of take that kind of attitude towards their film critiquing and stop getting involved in these stupid Twitter fights.
No, don't get involved politically. Just talk about the movie.
Well, yeah, talk about the movie, but also like, if you want to talk, I mean, I like talking about budgets. I like talking about behind the scenes. I like talking about creativity. I think cinema is a wonderful form of creativity when it's done right. In media creativity, like the fact that so many disciplines have got to come together to make one piece of art, and yes, there is this thing about box office and money, and I've got no objection. The thing is, I've got no objection to movie studios making money. I've got no objection to there being fucking big tent pole box office for movies. Mm-hmm. Just don't think it should be every fucking movie. And also, I just, and I do appreciate there may well be one or two, there may be individuals within the Hollywood system that do have these silly political agendas. I just wish they'd just leave them the fuck out. Like if you got like a point that you want to prove, or not a point you want to prove, if you got something that you want to talk about, a subject that you want to talk about, do it within the context of the narrative. And it doesn't have to be fucking, and stop kind of pontificating to people. It's like when when Ricky Gervais did the Golden Globes, when he turns around to them all, he says, "Look, come up to here, accept your little award, thank your God and your agent and your fans, and get the fuck off the stage, because no one wants to hear you talking to them about pollution and all this sort of shit. Because at the end of the day, you don't live the lives of the people that watch your movies. You're in a very privileged position. You fly around on private jets. Everyone knew about Epstein.
You have 12 boats, 17 luxury cars, stuff like that.
Mansions everywhere in the world.
Mansions everywhere in the world. Just don't try. That's not your fight.
Yeah, just because you drive around in a fucking Prius doesn't make you the fucking the person to tell us about living environmentally clean living. Fuck off.
You're not fixing the problem. You are the problem.
Exactly. That's the thing. I mean, like, I've got no objection to people pointing out that bullshit at all. But it's just like when you hear I don't mind.
But they don't want to be the problem. But they are the problem.
Yeah. But the thing is, but the point I'm making is that when it comes down to like us as critics. Like we are criticised, but I think we come at it from a position of good faith. I hope we do, and I think that what we want to talk about, we want to talk about the merits of the movie. We want to, sometimes we go on our little tangents. Sometimes those tangents will be more than will go on for quite a while. But in terms of like what's going on in Hollywood, where I think it's not so much about it getting political. It's when people start using whatever their own political agenda is, they're using that to justify their position, and then shouting on social media ensues. Everyone called each other idiots and whatever else. Yeah. That kind of shit. I just miss me with all that bollocks. But yeah, anyway, Paprika, liked it. I really liked it.
Yeah, I really like it. I recommend you watch it.
Yeah, I mean, you got anything else to add?
Not really, no.
Not really?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Call it.
All right, fair enough. We won't force the issue any further. So what we'll do is we'll leave it there. And all you wonderful people out there, thank you very much for watching Post Watch Post Mortem. We do appreciate it. My name's been John Clare.
I've been Roman Fresh.
And this has been Post Watch Post Mortem. See you next time.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.